Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
But who is he?
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
And who is he?
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
And what he do?
And it's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer. I only mention that because I am a board-certified lawyer specializing in the area of criminal defense. So what that means is when you get the analysis, you get it from an expert in the area of criminal defense. So when I'm talking about this, I've tried cases like this. I've gotten my ass kicked on cases like this. And it appears to me that's what's going on with Mr. Murdaugh and his defense team. But before we get to reacting to Mr. Murdaugh, let's give a shout out to our content genius, Michael Rivers. He is the one responsible for all this because I couldn't do this. I just work for him. So thank you, Michael, and also to JLap and to Percy Mack, our intro and outro. So before we get to Mr. Murdaugh, because we're winding down the week 4 of his trial, and this date's about to rest, we are brought to you by eSign.com. We are brought to you by eSign.com. eSign.com is an effective way to remotely sign documents. Let's say you're a lawyer and you're trying a really horrific case and you're going down and you know the client's got no more money, but he's got to sign some documents because otherwise you're going to get screwed in payment, right? And he's in custody. So the only way to do this is to send an email to the deputy and you include an eSign document. So he just signs it. You download the app. You get 3 free signatures a month, and it is an effective way to remotely do business. You can do it with powers of attorney, bill of sale. I do it with retainer agreements when somebody's either not able to come into the office or they're out of state. And it's a very, very, very effective way to remotely do business. So let's talk about the defense team and what they're facing in the Alex Murdaugh. Leave that in there, Michael. So as you know, this is the 4th week of trial. This is a long trial. When you're having a trial like this, so you work during the day, you know, so you're in court pretty much 6-7 hours a day. You know, we get breaks for whatever, court reporter breaks and bathroom breaks and lunch breaks. So, but really it's about 6-7 hours of actual trial time every day. And then what do you do when you get done? You prepare for the next day. You know, you have to go through whatever who you're going to be facing the next day. So you have to read those reports. You've got to prepare your cross-examination for the next person. And then you also have to still continue your law practice. You probably still have other stuff that is going on. It is very draining on the lawyers. You're probably putting in 15, 16, 17-hour days, honestly. And so there's so many things wrong with the defense. Not that the defense is wrong, but just so many hurdles that the defense is facing. Let's talk about a few of those. So, and we're going to also be reacting, and this is going to be a little bit longer video because we're also going to react to his own statement and how that impacts some of the evidence that we're talking about here. So what are some, I'll give you the top 10 things, and so first of all, Alex deleted a bunch of stuff off of his, or he deleted all calls off of his phone. And sometimes when you have a case, it's not just what the evidence is, it's what absence is there. And I'll keep that in mind because it was said that somebody else did this, not him. So the absence of evidence is also something that you need to look at, and I'll address that here in a second. But so Alex deleted all of his calls from his cell phone. He admitted that he went for Paul's phone while his son's literal brains were splayed out. Why would you go for your son's phone? What are you going to do with your son's phone? Call 911? Don't you have your own phone? Alex absolutely had no blood on him when seen by the police. And if you shot somebody, you wouldn't necessarily have blood on you. But there's a thing called stippling. Stippling is burn marks caused by close contact with a firearm. I don't know if any of the weapon had stippling on it, but if you had a close contact wound like that, you would get blood splatter, especially with a shotgun. Alex was the only person placed at the scene exactly before and after the murders, and he self-snitches on that. Testimony confirmed that Alex's voice was on that recording. You remember there was a Snapchat recording that has 3 voices on it. You can hear Paul's voice, Maggie's voice, and you can hear what's been testified to now in court as Alex's voice. And this is on the recording, and the phone was in the kennels, even though Alex said he hadn't been in the kennels all day. Alex told his mother's caretaker that he was there for 30 to 4 minutes, but he was only there for 15 minutes. Alex just so happened to leave right before the murders happened, and then he just so happens to come back right after the murders happened. Alex sold the house that he wanted Maggie to sell, but she refused. So when she died, he sold it by right of joint survivorship. That's the first time I've ever seen any kind of real motive. You know, the other thing is he supposedly had a $50,000 a month drug habit. So if he's destitute and really needs money and wants to sell his property, but his wife won't sell it, is that a motive for murder? I don't know if it is or not. Paul being wiped out also wipes out the boating accident in which Alex was being sued for millions because it was his boat that resulted in someone's death. He keeps bringing up this boat accident, and he talks about it in his statement, saying that that Paul had been receiving nasty messages on social media, and we're gonna kick your ass, that kind of thing. I'm not buying that. By Maggie's sister's testimony, she said Alex was more concerned with Paul's court case than the actual brutal murders of his wife and son. Now, these are just a few of the tidbits that, a few of the facts of the case that it seems to me weigh heavily against Alec Murdaugh. But here's the thing. Remember what I told you about the lack of evidence? If this was supposed to be a third-party intruder or somebody, you would think there would be some evidence somewhere of that person, right? A shoe print, fingerprints, tire tracks, any kind of evidence whatsoever. And if Alex Murdaugh loses this case, it'll be on that grounds, and that grounds coupled with all these other circumstances that are so suspicious. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but I want you to see this initial encounter he has with police. There's no audio at the beginning of this, so we'll fast forward it just a little bit.
All right, sir. I left the house without my watch.
12:57.
Now, he's not crying at all. He does look concerned. I guarantee you, when I've had a loved one die from gun violence, and when she died, I was fucking beside myself. I could not breathe. I was just uncontrollable. So, and I know we always like to play armchair psychologist to see, how would somebody really respond in a situation. But he looks more concerned for himself than he does for what's just happened.
All right, Mr. Murdaugh, just state your full name for me, please.
Richard Alexander Murdaugh.
And spell your last name so I get it correct.
M-U-R. Like when I came back here, I pulled up and I could see him, and, I knew something was bad. I ran out. I knew it was really bad. My boy over there, I could see it was...
What kind of tears are those? We're armchair quarterbacking this, right? So, it's easy for us in hindsight with all the things that we know, but it looks genuine in the moment.
I'm sorry.
And I could see his brain on his...
Now, here's the thing. Anything he says, anything whatsoever, is fair game for prosecution. So, he could... And so, anything he says that's provably false will get totally jammed up his ass. And here's the thing. So generally speaking, you don't want your client to testify if you can avoid it, right? And when you have a police interview, if it's unassailable, the prosecution won't use it, okay? So if you have a really good statement and you have alibis and you're all good to go, and it's a really good statement that's unimpeachable, the prosecution will not use it. And you cannot use it as your defense. Why can't you? Because it's hearsay. It's actually self-serving hearsay because it's your own statement, right? It's an out-of-court statement offered to prove the matter asserted, and you can't cross-examine it. But then why can the state use it? Because it's a statement of a party opponent. These are rules of evidence that I'm talking about here. So I guarantee you the prosecution's using this statement because they can prove what he was saying is not true.
And I ran over to Maggie, and actually, I think I tried to turn Paul over first. I tried to turn him over, and I don't know, I figured it out. His cell phone popped out of his pocket. I started to try to do something with it, thinking maybe, but then I put it back down really quickly.
Try to do something with his cell phone. What would he try to do with his cell phone? I wouldn't give a flying fuck about his cell phone. I mean, you'd see your son there with his brain splattered all over the place. Are you kidding me? The first thing I would do is I'd see them on the ground. The first thing I would do is call fucking 911.
Then I went to my wife, and I could see.
Did you touch Maggie at all?
I did. I touched them both.
Okay.
I tried to I tried to do it as limited as possible, but I tried to take their pulse on both of them.
Now, if you intended to kill somebody, you wouldn't take their pulse. And if you didn't take their pulse, you wouldn't have any blood on you, would you?
And, I called 911 pretty much right away. And she was very good. I talked to her. I told her I was going to get off the phone to call some family members. I did that.
What family members did you call?
I called my brother Randy, and I called my brother John. And I tried to call a little boy, real good friend that's right around the corner from here, but I didn't get him.
What all was around Paul when you walked up?
Blood.
Anything else?
I mean, there were some body things, yes, sir.
I mean, like any other evidence? I know you said the phone fell out of the pocket, but did you see anything else that didn't belong or shouldn't belong or that wasn't part of Paul?
No, sir, not the... No, sir.
How about Maggie?
No, sir.
So he's put himself there at the murder scene. He's got himself manipulating evidence, manipulating the phone and the bodies to a certain extent. But he puts himself there, and he calls 911. Now, he gets into detail here in a little bit about some other things that are just provably false.
Anything around them? What made you come out here tonight?
I went to, my mom's a late stage Alzheimer's patient. My dad's in the hospital. My mom gets anxious when she does. I went to check on them and Maggie. Maggie's a dog lover, and she fools with the dogs. And I knew she'd gone to the kennel. I was at the house. I left the house and went to my mom's for just a little while. Tried to call her when I left. Texted her, no response.
That's his setting up his alibi.
When I got back to the house was obviously nobody was in there, so I figured they're still up here fooling around. Paul was gonna be getting set up to plant. Our sunflower seeds got sprayed and died, and he was refiguring to plant the sunflower seeds.
Now, if you've watched any of the JCS videos, you know, that we've reacted to, what is one of the things JCS says? He talks about details, minute details that really don't fucking matter, like the sunflowers. Nobody gives a shit about the sunflowers.
So I came back up here, and I drove up and saw.
So he's indicating he was never there at the same time that those people, that Maggie and Paul, were there alive, right? But we know that's not true. Why do we know that's not true? Because he is heard and has been identified by witnesses in the trial saying that's his voice on the recording that from Paul's phone that's on Snapchat.
And called.
Had Maggie and Paul been arguing over anything?
No.
What was their relationship like?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. How about yours and Maggie's?
Wonderful. I mean, I'm sure we had little things here and there, but we had a wonderful marriage, wonderful relationship.
And yours and Paul's relationship?
As good as it could be.
So now this is where he starts talking about the boat incident and trying to, I think I might know what this might be.
That I know of. The only thing what comes to my mind is my son Paul was in a boat wreck a couple years ago, and there's been he was charged with being arrested for being the driver. There's been a lot of negative publicity about that, and there's been a lot of people online just really vile stuff. But
So it had to be that. That doesn't make sense, to be honest with you.
when Paul's out and about, I mean, people routinely, I don't think I know the full story, so I don't think they give it to me, but I mean, he's been punched and hit and just attacked a lot, so, but
So if somebody was getting revenge for that boat killing from 2 years ago, there would be some evidence of some disturbed soil, of a footprint, of a tire track, of some evidence that somebody else was there. And magically, the only evidence they have is his own statement saying he was there just before and just after the murders.
nothing like this.
Yeah. Any one person in particular or group of people
I don't know.
that you could think of?
Not that I know, no, sir.